means that we're turning and burning.
Turning and burning, baby.
Double digits.
Double digits, baby. Hello and welcome to the Ohms Lounge, episode 10, Trends in Gaming. We have your host today, Ohms, and myself, the lone salesman. And this is going to be a continuation of our series where we talk about trends in gaming. And today we have a few topics. It's going to be split up into two different episodes. The first topic we'd like to cover is the influence of subscriptions on gaming. This one was brought by Ohms. So, Ohms, what brought this topic up?
Well, I've been kind of looking a bit more seriously into the whole game developer thing,
Really?
at least for my own sake, just because I need to pursue a higher education. And
Absolutely.
I decided, you know what? I'm already a pretty big nerd. I like good stories, the thought-provoking stuff in programming, whatever. And so I've been watching on and off a bunch of the GDC conference VODs, and this is like where you get a lot of really interesting information. I came across this one. It was like game subscriptions is the Netflix of games inevitable, and what does it mean for developers? And so after I thought about it, I was like, yeah, this is pretty interesting. Anything that deals with developers, I'm pretty vested in.
Right.
But what they're talking about is a lot of things, man. So they're going over how Netflix is wanting to get into something kind of similar to what Xbox Game Pass has, PlayStation Plus. Apparently, there's something called Amazon Luna. I've never heard of that until I watched this. So,
wow.
And I was like looking at all right, so what is this then? What I come to find out is that they see a future in it. They definitely see the potential. They see that most of the spending in games is on in-game monetization, primarily in free-to-play games. So 79% of the total market opportunity in 2021 in terms of consumer spending was based on in-game monetization. Like there's that keynote.
Wow. I guess that's where we're going.
Yeah. So like there's a lot of money in it. There's a lot of people that want games, but they like the catchphrase, the Netflix of games. And what that equates to is a catalog of content from what they were saying in the video.
Yeah, so what we're basically talking about is like really like Xbox Game Pass, PSN Now, Nvidia Now, or like you mentioned, Amazon Luna. So this is being seen as the future, but how is it for the developer side exactly?
Well, they were comparing it to how the music industry has shifted to subscription-based monetizations. That's doing well for a lot of musicians. Like, not so much for independent musicians, but I mean, we have Zayy. Zayy has his stuff on Spotify. Shout out to Zayy. But then there's other places where if you really want to support that musician, you have things like Bandcamp. And same thing with game developers. You have itch.io, you got GameJolt, and you can just go and check out their website and find their stuff directly from Steam.
Right.
But he even addresses it. He was just like, he understands that it kind of like puts a little bit of fear into game studios and developers because they see it potentially, that they're going to progressively get more and more squeeze, and like how the rules of monetization are going to change and from like what we're used to now. So I don't know. And even he doesn't really know whenever I was watching the seminar yeah.
Well, I'm thinking of it like this, and from what I've reviewed from the video, I think the industries are slightly different, and maybe developers have a little less to worry about. Because Netflix, they set a budget for most of the movies and shows, and depending on who watches or views them, determines whether or not they're going to continue it, right? When we're talking about these game passes and stuff, we're talking about most of these games are already made or they've been released for like years. And I think we can both agree that a lot of them include older titles, which isn't a bad thing. Sometimes they include newer ones. it's a little different, right? If you're developing for this like platform, or whether or not you already have a game that maybe hasn't sold in a while, it's sitting on Steam somewhere. Maybe they can make a little extra money by putting on Game Pass passively. I'm not exactly sure, but I think it's somewhat of a win-win for both people, for the gamers, consumers, and the developers, right? I mean,
Well, yeah, I would say so because later on in the video he was talking about like how, you have commercial and entertainment sectors. Commercial is going to be Netflix themselves and how they're going to be directly working with the independent developers or contracted out developers or potentially even uh, a small section of the AAA studio if there's already something that's already established on Netflix that everybody knows. So that's good. That's good for the developer because that means they're going to get their money. They're going to have everything up front, ideally in like the perfect, situation. So hopefully the developer that ends up scoring a deal with Netflix gets their money before anything happens, because like it would suck if they were approved to, get the ball rolling on their project that's an indie game and it's going to be launched on Netflix.
right.
But then you end up having a situation where like the stock, for Netflix's stock tanks, and so they end up having to like pull. And you've seen that recently with them pulling. What was it? A few things. Like there was a few animations I can't name off the top of my head, but those got pulled. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the Wonder Twins thing was supposed to be on Netflix, but that got pulled as well. I could
Well,
be wrong. Maybe I'm getting that mixed up with something else.
I mean, we could
But
also, I mean, the biggest, I think the most popular show that was pulled was The Office.
oh, I mean, that was also through what, NBC whenever it
It
first
was,
started?
yeah, it was an NBC thing because they started their whole streaming Peacock Now or whatever, See My Cock Now, something like that. I
Mm.
don't know. But yeah, NBC or CBS All Access. There's all these like broadcasters starting their own service, right? So it's like whatever, right? Let them do their thing. I guess if we're talking about Netflix in particular, their library isn't exactly that expansive. So like if I was a developer like trying to put my stuff out exclusively on Netflix, I would probably be a little bit worried. But I mean, if we're talking about a bigger platform like Xbox or PlayStation, or we're talking about Epic Games, I mean, can we talk about some of the payouts there real quick?
I remember I showed you that. I mean, that was
Yeah,
from like what, 2019?
that's from 2019. Yeah, I mean, they were just on a roll, and they still are. I mean, it's never like really ending. I'll pull it up right here. Some of the like we're so for Subnautica, the buyout price was over 1 million, a little over 1 million,
So the
and
developer got 1 million just cold hard cash right then and there.
yeah, and
As long as Epic got to put it out for free, right?
right, and people were streaming it, they were playing it, and there's other Subnautica games. That's not the only one, so maybe some people went and picked up the other ones. We have Super Meat Boy. That was a indie title. They bought him out for 50,000. Your favorite game, or one of your favorites, Hyperlight Drifter,
Yeah.
which you actually had a stake in, if I'm not, is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. So like I remember I saw it. It was probably around maybe 2012, 2013 is when I first saw it on Kickstarter or something. And I was like, oh shit, this looks amazing. So put like $50 into it. The developer, he got sick. So like the game got prolonged and it was just made by him and like maybe a few other people. Disaster Piece, he did the OST to that. Disaster Piece ended up getting his big break because of that game. He's the guy that ended up doing the original soundtrack for It Follows. So like he's
Oh,
gotten
wow.
like, yeah. So like he's been in movies too, like with just for his music. And so like I saw that, I was just like, this is awesome. I saw something in like it was really gratifying whenever I ended up, betting right, especially on
Right.
talent. And that makes you so hype because it just you want to see like the little guy win, Like
You know
I'm
what's
I'm I'm always rooting for the underdog. Everybody likes an underdog story.
It looks cool. I actually I've heard of it and I haven't played it, but honestly, I'm watching this trailer right now, and it actually has some. I think this guy liked Evangelion because I see some like imagery that's kind of similar to it. But this is a really popular game at the time because my friend was playing this too when it came out, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
what is this? Like this is kind of cool. Like
I just wanted to say because of this game, it was completely homebrewed, made by one dude and a guy that made the music.
right,
Like Netflix saw something in it so much so that they decided to give Hyperlight Drifter its own show, which is gonna be on Netflix.
that's
So
awesome.
yeah, it's gonna be an animation, looks great, and like they see something in the indie devs, because if they're able to produce something as great as this game, and they already have the trailers out for Hyperlight Drifter. I forgot what the TV show is going to be called, but the animation looks sick, and the new game looks great.
I
So
mean, I think movies too. Like they like seeing their vision because it's unique. It's not mainstream. It's a new outlook. It's its own style. Even like going back to like Sam Raimi, right? Sam Raimi, the director of Evil Dead, got to do Spider-Man for me. And this is the guy, Peter Jackson himself. Started with these cheesy horror movies, and then he made Lord of the Rings. It's like, all right,
yeah, that's how. Yeah, like if it wasn't for B movies from way back when, like Evil Dead, if you haven't seen the very first Evil Dead, it's not that great. It's really not. Even my friend, he absolutely loves Bruce Campbell and he loves Sam Raimi. He loves the Evil Dead series, absolutely loves it. But even he admits that the very first one sucked. And then it wasn't until 6 years later that they came out with Evil Dead 2. That one was pretty
yeah.
good. And
Army
then
of
Army of
Darkness.
Darkness.
Yeah, it's
That
it's
was that was where everybody paid attention.
it's classic. It's got its own style and comedy to it. It's first one is just wacky and surreal. I guess you have to be in the right mood, and I could say sometimes with some indie games, I feel the same way. Like I have to be in the right mood to play certain games. Um, that might be a little high concept.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I like coffee break games, like the ones that I can just pick up for 10 minutes, put right back down.
Right. Like, just for example, like, I was avoiding playing Fire Emblem, getting back into that for a while because I was getting frustrated. And I was like, now I'm in the right mindset. I feel calm. I want to, like, play a casual game where I can sit down and just, think out my moves. And there it is. So, going back to this topic about subscription games and what we've been dealing with for the past couple of years, let's like talk about the different services that are available right now. So, starting with the Xbox Game Pass, I think this was the one that kind of took the world by storm. When it first came out, I think it was just like the best deal out there, right? I mean, you had hundreds of games across Xbox and PC, and some of them were like mainstream games, some of them were indie games, um, whatever. And now we have even Halo, like for free, like the brand new Halo. They took a huge risk instead of making it like
I
they
mean,
did.
just look at the numbers, dude. Just look at the numbers. Just go to 10 minutes and 12 seconds on that video, dude. It shows you right there.
Yeah, I had it playing here, but yeah, I'm looking at it right here. Yeah, look at that,
Yep.
60%
Just
Western
Q4
game.
2021.
Even Apple has its own stake.
Yeah.
Ubisoft Plus. Well, the other thing is like I see EA Play on here. Xbox even integrated EA Play with it. If you get the Ultimate Edition or whatever, there's just so many good perks with it. And now we have the new PlayStation now coming out here in a few months. Actually, next month, June. So starting in actually May, in Asia markets, we're actually already getting it, but Japan's getting it in June, and then the rest of the world's also getting it later on in June. But basically what they're doing is, you still have your regular PlayStation Plus 2 months. You get 2 games per month, some discounts, whatever. And then the extra, which is like a little bit extra, you get your games catalog to download and play whatever you want in their catalog. And then the premium, you have a bunch of classic titles, PlayStation 3 games, and cloud streaming gaming, which has kind of gotten better through the years.
Yeah, I've heard some pretty good things. I've even messed around with PlayStation's cloud gaming thing. I can't remember what I think. Yeah, PlayStation Now. I think that's what it was called. So
Yeah.
I messed around with that and it was working out just fine.
Yeah, I mean, not everyone has the best internet, but I mean, nowadays it's like becoming a standard for most people. Not saying everyone, but I mean, even if you're living in Japan, most places have fiber. America, they're overhauling a lot of places, but yeah, it's a kind of an interesting thing. Like, do we really want to move this direction?
I mean, if you go to the 9-minute mark in the video, look at that. I mean, the North American and European game content subscription market forecast right now we're at 3.7 bill.
Jesus.
And
Game
then
content subscription services, all other gaming.
Yeah, go to 935.
Yeah. And then we go here. Yeah, it's just growing. Going to be even more. Well, it's the forecast.
$8.4 billion by 2027. And that's just 6 years away.
It's a little scary to think, And one thing I think that maybe can be worked on better for the future is one thing I do like about Netflix, Amazon, they do tend to kind of suggest things that are in your interests. Sometimes I don't see this in Xbox Game Pass or other services. Yeah, it's like it's nice to get a free game, but when you have such a large catalog of things, it's really hard to decide sometimes what you want to play, especially maybe you don't even know what you want to play, and you open up your catalog here, and then you're like, I don't know, who cares? I, but you look at it and then you just say, fuck it.
Me, I don't really have the time to play video games, or at least enjoy them. Like, what's a game that I've been playing recently? It's like 10 minutes till something. Yeah, 10 minutes till dawn. I've been playing that a lot. And yeah, the whole objective of the game is just to play. You have 10 minutes and it's just counting down and survive. And I can't get past 6 minutes. I'm always dying at like the 4-minute mark.
Oh, wow.
And I've been like, I looked on Steam and I got like 3 hours into it, and that's free to play.
Wow.
But the market model that they have for that game is like, oh, you've unlocked half of the characters and half of the guns. And once the full game comes out, it's going to be 20 minutes. And you're going to have more characters and more guns to play with. I was like, all right. I mean, I'm having fun.
No, I mean, whatever. Fuck it.
But I didn't, I haven't wishlisted it yet. But as far as games, dude, I don't know. It's really hard to say. I'm more interested in seeing like how games are made, because I don't know. I see a lot of value in that. I see a lot of, because like a lot of I mean, shit, Netflix, entertainment industries, like media and entertainment, they are looking at people that know how to do 3D rendering, rigging, all that stuff, animators. Because I mean, if you haven't seen Love, Death, Robots Volume 3, that's crazy. It's great. Everybody loves it. 10-minute shorts. And that's where the entertainment industry is going toward now. They want those people. Like Hideo Kojima, he's wanting to do his own version of like a movie studio thing. He wants to make films. And You saw that with
He's a big film buff, and you know his
yeah,
late the Death Stranding game was a very cinematic experience. It's a different game. You gotta be in the right mood to play it, but it is quite the experience, and I think some of those creative thoughts can be better to probably better used in a film. But you know,
in an animated film,
yeah,
if that.
dude, you know what was one of my favorite games was The Walking Dead from Telltale Games. It was
Really?
a really fun, interactive, like, it's a point and click game, basically. But it was
Choose
really,
your own adventure.
yeah. But it was simple and fun, and you know, they're the same people that did the Minecraft game for Netflix,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
and now they're doing a Stranger Things game for Netflix. So I think those type of games can probably be good for Netflix, like a choose your own story thing.
They did do that with one of the movies. I can't remember which one it was
It
called,
was
but
it was the Black Mirror Bandersnatch. The movie is basically about them making a game, and then the game kind of like,
yep, that was it.
yeah, yeah, and it was a fantastic movie, and you can go through all the options and see what happens. In fact, you can make the movie as short as I think 10 or 15 minutes if you choose the right option. But you could keep going, of course. But um yeah, so I think in Netflix in particular, if they stick to something like that, that would be I would like to see that. But I would prefer, like, I just don't see myself going to Netflix to play games. Um like I like
Do you watch Netflix on your phone? Like, because I don't know if you do or not, but I
I like
don't.
I like watching Netflix on my tablet.
Yeah, same. I watch it in my bed.
The best feature they have is the ability to download a movie and then you can go watch it on the go, because I used to always do that. I'd go take a train to go to Fukuoka or something. It would take a little bit, or I'd take the bus. I'd download a movie and watch it. And then if I didn't finish it, pause it, and then on the way back I'd finish the rest. So it's a nice feature. So yeah, this whole topic is huge, but in general, I can say that it's going in a good direction, and I don't see it being bad. However, I think the bad side to this is the games that are trying to make the extra money by having in-app purchases. And that's one thing that Netflix actually promises, is that none of their games have in-app purchases, which is kind of nice. And I respect that, because you play a game like Halo, for example, you got your battle pass, you got your skins, you got your whatever boosters, all this crap. It's like the same thing you're getting on mobile games, Call of Duty Mobile, PUBG, all this stuff, and that's the kind of stuff that I am getting tired of seeing in my games. And I mean, Apex Legend, but here's the thing: I'm not saying, like, they got to make money, right? I understand that. Like, I play Apex Legends; it's a free to play VR game. I spend money on cosmetics and the battle pass, fine, but I just don't think that all games need it. I don't think that should be the standard. Like, if you're developing a game and it's meant to be, either are you developing it to be free to play, or is it going to be like a standalone title, like Hyperlight Drifter, right? Like, what would you pay for in that game? Like, more levels? That's fair, right?
I mean, for something like that, probably just a sequel.
A sequel.
Like, I would pay
Yeah,
another $50 for another Hyperlight Drifter game, and I mean, they are making another game, but it's not like the same style game. It's not top down isometric or anything like that. Like, they're
sure.
making a completely different IP.
I
And
mean,
supposedly it's like a prequel to Hyperlight Drifter. I don't know, but I
I
mean it's
mean,
cool. It's kind of like what you saw with Risk of Rain and Risk of Rain 2. They're completely
sure.
different.
And I'm okay with that. Like, that's how Undertale was with Deltarune. The structure's still there, but there's improvements here and there, and some things are different. And I see that we're moving farther away from that. And I think the indie games are the only games that are kind of still doing that. They're continuing by making their game better and then adding, whatever. Meanwhile, you have games like, I don't know, Madden, just FIFA.
I mean, they know it works. They've been following that shit for fucking ever. Like, I
Yeah,
can't even, when was the first Madden game? Here, let's go back. Let's do
God,
a quick
I
Google.
think 2000. It went all the way back to like Atari and shit, right?
Yeah, I know it's pretty old.
I think 95.
Nope, 89
89. Jesus.
on the Apple II. So they've been following this dude. Like, numbers don't lie. These investors and
If it's
angel investors or whatever, they love being shown graphs.
yeah, all the graphs. And that's what it
Yep.
all is about at the end of the day, I guess. If the stockholders are happy, they're making money, the consumers are happy, whatever. I guess
mean, something like that too. Also, in Madden's like defense and even 2K is like the game is always changing. The players are always changing.
yeah, I agree with that. Like, okay, the players are changing and the stats get different, but like, couldn't they just make like with
Another NBA Street or something, or even NFL Street, dude. Those games were fun as fuck.
well, yeah, do something like that, or have like NBA 2K be a game and have it a free to play game and have it. Wouldn't that be better at this point? Because you're
I mean,
already
they are. In 2K's defense, they did release it for free on Epic last year, and I got it and I played it and I liked it.
yeah. I mean
I
that's
mean,
fine.
eh.
Like I'm just saying, if you're not going to be adding a lot of features, and I can say the same with Call of Duty, and this is like in Call of Duty's defense, the only thing they did right was making Warzone, is because no matter how many titles they have, you can still play Warzone. Sure, the guns are updated, and yeah, you got to play the game to, if you get the other games, it's easier to level up the guns, or you can just buy the fucking blueprints, whatever. I like that, and I'm not always playing Warzone, but they have the money to put in cool shit like Godzilla and King Kong. Like that'll make me play it. I'm sorry, that's just my thing.
I would
For
actually really like more of the like what they did with Modern Warfare 2.
yeah,
And I'm always gonna hold that game on a golden pedestal because
just
that
just
game it's awesome. It's great.
just release map packs. Like that was the only thing they
Nope.
did. But
You know what I want? I want more of those challenges.
oh, the challenges.
Yeah, like whenever you first like had to go like what was it? Like the snow sniper mission.
Ah,
There
yeah,
was
yeah,
that
yeah,
one and having to face the juggernaut. Like
yeah.
that shit was fun. That shit was really fun.
Uh, I think Modern Warfare, the new one, had some nice cinematic. It was actually a decent story from the new Modern Warfare. The Vanguard one didn't look too good, nor did the World War II. Like I didn't like it that much. I mean, the Battle of Normandy it was kind of like the best part, um, but yeah. So like, what we're expecting from games now, with the subscription model, um, yes, it's good for. That's the other thing is how is the quality going to be? Because on Netflix, you can find some quality shows and then you can find some not so good ones. Same thing with Amazon Prime, whatever. Like, what is their, I guess, level of quality for? Because is if we're talking about releasing like mobile games, if that's going to be the standard, then I am not interested. Like, I don't know. I don't want to sound like picky, but I think there should be a platform for all types of games. But there,
Okay, so let's take this one for example. A AAA that ended up going to mobile. You know which one I'm talking about?
what are we
And it
talking
was the
about?
same story. Fucking Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy?
They made it into a mobile version and it was the same story. You remember that?
Well, here's my thing with Final Fantasy, and Rockstar did something similar with their Grand Theft Auto San Andreas and Vice City. They basically made it so you could play it on your phone. Cool. You know what? I play Final Fantasy VI on my iPad and I love it. I play Chrono Trigger on there. It's fun. It plays well.
Yeah.
There's no problems. They do actually hire additional developers to like add other features and bonus shit. Actually, Chrono Trigger does have bonus levels and shit on the mobile. I didn't even know some of the stuff was new, but apparently it is. And it's addicting.
I
So
will. Oh, go on.
no, I mean I think those old school like 90s RPGs are like it's just so fun to play on like my iPad. And I guess if Netflix or a different service offered that same thing, like I could play more of those type of games on my iPad, like while I'm on the go or on my train. Like right now I'm mostly commuting to work on train and it takes me a good amount of time. So like yeah, if they had a like cool catalog of like Final Fantasy games or whatever, like that'd be kind of cool for me.
Right.
So yeah, this is a big topic and maybe we could like follow up on this again to see where it's going or what direction some other people are taking in. But the last thing I want to touch on is maybe talk a little bit about Kickstarter. Because we did mention that, like, you know, Hyperlight Drifter originally was a Kickstarter game. Is that correct?
Let me double check. It could have been on there or on Indiegogo.
Either way, it was crowdfunded. Now, I won't mention the big one that's crowdfunded, but you brought up this other cool tabletop game, Auraboros, Coils of the Serpent, which is a it's not exactly a game. Well, it's not exactly a video game, but it's like a tabletop. Well, it's a digital and physical version. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I first heard about this game through this guy that used to work at his name is Mike Gilmartin. He's been in the game industry ever since like '98, and then he went and joined the Marine Corps. He's just been in the game industry ever since. Like even
Right.
while he was still doing the whole Marine thing, got out and worked at Blizzard. He was I can't remember the title, but I believe it was something to do with Blizzard's like sales.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows a lot about the industry. I actually got to speak with him not too long ago, just for like a mentoring thing. So that was really cool. But I ended up doing some research on the guy before I got to talk to him, and I found his Kickstarter for this game because he is, I believe, the founder of War Chief Gaming, and I saw this. I saw that they were doing Dungeons and Dragons Fifth Edition type rule set for it, and I was like very impressed with like the fact that they had a very modest and humble 50K goal, and now it's already at what is it like 1.6 now,
Yeah, 1.6
1.6
million.
mil. Yeah, so like there's a lot of people that are very interested in this game. Like this isn't we're not sponsored or anything by them, but
No, no, no.
like I just thought it was
What's that
really
1 point?
interesting.
It's at
Oh,
1.2.
1.2.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
some
I
change.
mean, but once it ends up hitting like what 1.5, then they're gonna like actually start working on another project. So
Yeah,
like,
it seems like with
yeah,
each goal, you know, they're adding more and more stuff to it. So it's like it's
they're
kind
being
of
consistent.
yeah, it's and I think D&D is becoming way more mainstream. I mean, before, you know, everyone used to laugh at nerds playing in their basement, but you know, whatever. Now you have so many different types of mediums to play it, and
Yep.
there's like God knows how many fucking Dungeons and Dragons podcasts out there. And
Yeah.
it can be entertaining. I mean, people just letting their imagination let loose, and when you have like a good foundation like this, I mean, you have all these like these characters and designs look pretty fucking awesome. It's like a good place to start, right? So that'd be kind of cool. Like they already have. I want to be the salamander guy. I want to be him.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, and that's cool, you know. Like, I'm really happy that something like this exists, like Kickstarters for game devs. Like, I saw there's another game, like where it's like a fighting game, but it's all based off of like children's cereal mascots.
Oh my
I
god,
forgot what it's. Dude, I'm serious. Let me see. Let me fucking find it.
dude! Like Kellogg's needs something to get out of their holder, and they need this. They need to back that shit. I want to
So
see.
stupid.
I want to
Oh,
see.
cereal killaz with
Oh
an
my!
AZ.
Wait! I gotta find this.
It's on Indiegogo. Oh, it didn't get backed though.
Oh,
But the if you were to check out like the demo for it, but yeah.
this looks amazing, dude. I want to see Captain Crunch fight Tony the Tiger. Oh my god, they do have Tony the Tiger, and oh, dude, this is awesome.
Oh, hi.
What the fuck? Well, they're like
But
not
yeah,
exactly the characters, but they're like
it's a
heavily
novel idea.
inspired. Dude, these look at this. They got Tony, they got Toucan Sam, they got the raisin guy, the son. What the fuck? Is this Quaker Oats? Why is he wearing a mask? Why is he wearing this wooden mask?
Oh, okay. All right. So what happened to these guys that they've acquired private funding? Okay, so
Oh, okay.
so they refunded everybody, but now they got private funding for this game. So that's kind of cool. Okay. So
Dude.
they didn't flop.
Yeah, they just, I guess someone was like, hey, you know what?
But yeah, but see, like this kind of goes and shows, like it proves the point that like if you were to make something like crowdfunded, you're gonna probably be approached for something even better. You know,
Training
like
Oats. Oh
they
my.
see, like they got a private funding thing, so they saw it. They're like, dude, I want this. It's so
Dude.
stupid.
Honestly, I feel like if you were a millionaire, you'd be like that guy. You'd be like,
Yeah,
dude. It's like, babe.
just fucking funding all this shit.
Yeah. And you're like, they're like super worried and like sweating over like putting out results. You're at the board meeting. You're just like, that's cool. When's it like you're just totally like nonchalant about it. Like, I really think the Lucky Charms guy should have a rainbow attack, but that's just me. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Like that's another thing I'm interested in, and that's something that you said was a major positive. Wrapping this up was the whole subscription services not having to deal with the publishers getting involved with the development process. I think you said that was one of the highlights of dealing with the subscription service, because you're not so worried about having a publisher release your game, market it, do all this shit, while this platform is kind of doing all that for you.
Yeah, like verbatim, he was saying like, let's see here. Let me get down to the nitty gritty. The commercial framework is different for the game subscription services. This also means that the drivers for content inclusion within the services vary within the game space compared to the entertainment sector. So basically, what I got out of that is that, all right, you have the entertainment sector and the commercial sector. Entertainment sector is branding, advertising, studios, investors. And then you have the commercial sector, which is going to be indie devs, small teams, and they're going to be working and talking with the service provider. In this case, for our example, it's going to be Netflix.
Gotcha.
So they're going to be talking with them.
All right. Well, fair enough. I'd say if like, and I think that's what a lot of like what Marvel's been doing too. Like a lot of the times, or some of these other movies and franchises. Well, I'm sorry, this is a touchy subject, but Star Wars, for example,
It's touchy for you.
The whole last trilogy was a fucking mess. Force Awakens was great. It was handled well, I'd say. And then the second one, we have Rian Johnson doing whatever the fuck he wanted, and kind of derailed the whole trilogy. That's when having your developer or maybe that single mind could potentially fuck up stuff and make it less profitable. Like, okay, maybe like an indie, from an indie dev perspective, you have a small team. It's really hard to fuck up because you have less people involved. The bigger the team you have, the more of a chance it can get like stupid. Especially if you have some, I don't know, the equivalent of a producer would be in the game dev world, but maybe they have some ideas that just completely fuck up the game. And for example, Star Wars, it's like you had your second movie of your trilogy just completely derail everything. And then the third movie, Rise of Skywalker, had to like pick up and redo everything and just threw all this shit together and then said, that's all, folks.
Yeah, I didn't care for it. I like the one before that one, though. I'm more into Star Trek. But yeah, I mean, because like the last one, that's the one that me and you saw. You were like asleep and snoring and like yelling at the crowd. And you're like, because people were like clapping, and then you're like, why are you clapping? Nobody that made the movies here. Don't clap. Like, and then, but yeah, that's the one that I didn't care for.
Well, yeah, I just don't want to see that with the games. And with games, I mean, it's a little bit more room for working, but like, let's just say, like, what if Hyperlight Drifter had a bigger team? Like, what if they were funded by the wrong people and they said, well, this game's too hard, so you got to put it in the easy mode? Or like, well, it's too violent. We can't market it this way. It's too cartoony and violent. That doesn't make sense. Like, what if someone told Cuphead that it's like, that was a stupid idea? Why are we having 50s cartoons like and violent monsters attack? Like, I don't get it.
Well, the way I see it is like if you're like the original, creator of said thing, like Cuphead or Hyperlight Drifter, then assuming that you didn't sign away, your creative rights to your creation, like a dum dum,
Yeah.
then you can just up and leave. Like that's the beauty of it. Like I've heard of stories where people that work in the industry at AAA studios, they have to sign NDAs. I've even heard that there's like developers that are not even fucking allowed to, make their own games.
That
Like,
sucks, man.
because like that's like part of their contract. They're like, you cannot make anything outside of what you work on over here. If you do make something
It's our
outside of
property.
here, it's ours. Yeah.
Wow.
That's how they get them, dude.
That's fucked, man.
Yeah.
It
So
sounds like the same tactics like music labels use. Like, yeah,
yeah, you see it everywhere, man.
it's just, and that's, I think, hopefully something maybe the subscription thing can help people avoid. I'm not exactly
I think
sure.
like now that we kind of like talked about it, kind of like read over some things and seen some stuff. I think it's good. I think it's honestly good for indie devs if they decide to go all in on it. But that's just like the risk. And even the analyst that was doing the video, even he agrees that it's a risk, but like there are benefits
Right.
to being the first to the party.
Right. I mean, you have a game like Hyperlight Drifter or Super Meat Boy that got bought by Epic. I mean, you turn your indie game into potentially a double A game or maybe in the future a triple A game. It's like that's the benefit of marketing or selling your game to a free platform or a subscription based service. Epic is a little different because they just give free games to whoever downloads their launcher. They have a 10-year plan on this whole thing, which, okay, go for it. But
So what I can see totally happening, um, I can totally see Heavy Metal Magazine getting with Netflix and saying, "All right, cool, we'll do a deal. We'll allow you to have this story." So like Ranks, for example,
yeah,
um, RANX. Uh, that story, we'll give it to you. We'll give you the fucking the animation rights or whatever. But hey, we want a game too. Do you think you
Okay.
can do that? And you're like, all right, cool. Yeah, sure. What about first chapter? We have a small development team that they're super into fucking heavy metal. And so I can see that happening because who is it? The guy that ended up doing Love, Death, Robots.
Yeah.
He did. I even have it written down. Jabaro. His name Alberto Melgo. He did a podcast on heavy metal magazines, or yeah, with heavy metal, and it was really cool. You know, I ended up like learning about like what his process was and stuff like that. But because he already have that connection with a guy that works at Netflix and Heavy Metal Magazine that has all these short stories and comics, like you already have like these two creative geniuses, and all it would take is just, hey man, like just a pitch to some people over there at Netflix.
Sure. Dude, this shit looks
That's
pretty
all it would take.
gnarly. I'm looking
Yeah,
at their
man.
website.
Yeah, heavy metal is awesome, dude. I love their stuff.
Dude, honestly, I mean, if they're turning podcasts into, I mean, we're turning comic books into movies, we're turning
Yep, makes a lot
podcasts
of sense.
into shows. I mean, why not start from here? These short stories written by people. I mean, some of these they probably can't do if it's based on a different IP, but why not?
I mean, it's all underneath heavy metal.
Yeah.
Because like what I would love, dude, I would give anything for another heavy metal 2000, or like because like all heavy metal 2000 was just a bunch. It was basically Love Death Robots before Love Death Robots.
An
That's all it was. It was
anthology
just a
series.
bunch. Yeah, it was just a bunch of different stories,
Right.
just thrown into a fucking movie, but done by a bunch of different animators. Like it was beautiful. It's great.
That's cool, man. I would hope to see more of that.
Hell yeah.
I really enjoyed like Star Wars Visions, and that was from a lot of different Japanese animation studios. Their whole take on Star Wars with general theme. It was just so interesting to see what each one did, and I would love to see more of that. And if gaming, like, dude, what if they did like that with gaming? Like, imagine like you get like 5 or 10 indie devs, like make a game, like have a game jam, and then put it out on Netflix or put it out on one of these streaming services and make it its own category. Like, I don't know, like let's just say they tell them to make an RPG or something.
Here, I'll do you one better. Have a bunch of indie game devs make what is it? You know, at the very end, a credits, like a screen credits game.
Ooh.
So you remember how like in Super Smash Brothers, whenever you ended up beating it on GameCube,
you'd
just
like shoot around all the credits.
Yeah. Do something like that.
That'd be cool. Why not? The Marvel movies need to do that because their credits are so fucking long and you always have to wait.
Yep.
I think that's it for this episode today. It went over a little longer than we expected, but it's a huge topic and it's something that we are seeing that's still evolving. Our next episode, we're going to talk about the new generation of card games. So stay tuned. Ohms, do you have any closing thoughts on this subject?
Get your Yu-Gi-Oh cards ready. A piece of cardboard's worth more than a gallon of gas these days.
Yeah?
That's set in. Also, anybody that is like into indie game development or anything like that, please reach out to me. I am looking for mentors and people to talk game development with. Especially if you're an expat, especially if you're an expat in Japan, please reach out.
Yeah.
Twitter, my Twitter's always open. / OhmsDev or at OhmsDev, OHMSDEV. And yeah.
Yep.
That's it. Thank you.
You can find his Twitter in the description of the episode, whether you're watching it on Spotify, YouTube, or whatever podcast platform you're watching this on or listening. Anyway, stay tuned. Thank you.